Hey everyone, Johnny here. Don't speak news. I'm going to start this off with a personal note today. This is my cat Pip. He's 13, just turned 13 here this past month. And we had to take him to get some tests done at the vet because he's been acting differently lately. His personality has had some changes that weren't like him. And then also we've noticed more urination in the cat boxes, but we have three of them, but we suspected it was Pip. And we have our reasons for that as well. But anyway, to keep it shorter, I'll just say the test came back and he has stage 1 kidney failure. And that's why he's been urinating more. So if you would, please keep Pip in your prayers, as well as his older brother Jack, who also has thyroid issues that he's on medication for. And according to the vet, there's no medication for kidney failure for cats. So all we can do really is, monitor his diet and keep him as comfortable and happy as possible. But he could last anywhere from 1 to 4 years, she's saying. It ranges depending on the cat. So long story short, there's nothing the vet can do, but there's plenty that the power of prayer can do. So I would ask for your prayers for our cats, Pip and Jack, for them to get healthy. And I thank you very much for that. And now we'll move on. But that was tough. That was tough news yesterday. And it's tough having senior animals, senior cats, dogs, what have you. You guys know what I'm saying if you have them or if you've had them. Watching them get older and not be as active and then getting these prognoses they're not easy. So, but anyway, thank you for the prayers and we'll move on. So I'm not going to talk about a lot today. This article will be front and center, but I wanted to tell you about this one too, this video. Exposed U.S. chemtrail operation that began in 96 in Silicon Valley sinister role. This was sent to me by a subscriber. I haven't watched it yet, but the man in America usually has some good videos and good guests. And today he's interviewing Peter Kirby, author of Chemtrails Exposed, a New Manhattan Project that traces how America's skies went from blue to gray and who's responsible. And so I'll put the link to that video up for you, as well as this link. From Exposing the Noahide Laws and Defending the Faith on Substack. This is Yana Banoon's blog. First Noahide Law class held inside a U.S. Catholic church. Noahide laws are being promoted in the Catholic Church, and this comes from a discussion with Elizabeth Glass, right here. So this recent interview with Elizabeth Glass on our program highlights a moment that should have been front page news. The first Noahide Law class ever held in the U.S. Catholic Church. This happened right on Long Island, and Elizabeth's first-hand account of the event shows just how far the reach of these universal laws has extended. It's a massive wake-up call to see a system that views Christian worship as a violation. Yeah, they consider it idol worship if you worship Jesus Christ. And you can die for that, these Noahide laws. So it's being taught within the walls of a church. The Noahide laws are often presented as simple moral guidelines, but they carry a much heavier weight. Since they were woven into U.S. federal law back in 1991, they have created a quiet infrastructure for a global legal system that most people don't even know exists. Yeah, it's been put up in silence. So Elizabeth pointed out the dark irony in the situation, or of the situation. While the class felt casual to some attendees, the underlying reality is a set of rules that demands total compliance from non-Jews, with extreme capital penalties for those who don't fit the mold, as explained in her article. It says, witnessing the first Noahide Law class at a Catholic church in the U.S. was painful, but the fact that a Jewish mother was present to express her opposition to these satanic laws is powerful symbolism and hopefully an indication the agenda will fail. The fact that the instructor defended capital punishment for female adulterers was wild, but compared to Epstein associates, he's practically a Boy Scout. While I appreciate the stance of some individual Catholics, Carrie Bowler, for example, who oppose the Noahide laws and take an anti-Zionist position, and I support them, it's deeply concerning that the Catholic Church as an institution has, in my view, aligned itself with the Noahide framework and maintains a pro-Zionist stance. And I'd want to see where the Eastern Orthodox stands with this as well, because they're not very far from the Catholics in most things. So I write more about this here, Catholic document that confirmed the Noahide laws for humanity. So we are now seeing local parishes holding classes and handing out materials to educate their followers on these laws. It's a slow, quiet process of retraining the flock to accept a system where Christ is no longer the judge, but a set of man-made legal codes is. While talking with Elizabeth Glass, we received an email containing the actual handouts and notes given to the people at the very same church lecture she attended. These files are available on the Seven Colors Ministry website for anyone to download and see for themselves. Let's take a look, shall we? Why not? There it is, Seven Colors Ministry. Wow. Here's the coursework. Unbelievable. There it is, guys. There's the documents for yourselves, the presentation, the whole works. I'll put the link up like I always do, but of course it's right here in Jana's blog. What's truly shocking is how the Catholic Church appears to be flat out lying to its own people. In these handouts, the Church claims that Jewish leaders now accept the Trinity as a valid part of the Noahide laws. They told the congregation that just as Islam is considered a monotheistic faith, Christianity is also accepted because the Trinity is not seen as idolatry. That's a lie. Of course they see that as idolatry. The prohibition against idolatry refers specifically to idolatrous worship and not to beliefs. In later generations, Jews had to determine whether the prevailing religious cultures in which they lived were idolatrous. Since Islam is strictly monotheistic, Muslims have always been considered Noahides. Since the latter Middle Ages, Jews have acknowledged that the Christian doctrine of the Trinity was not the same as idolatry, and they were also recognized as Noahides. To put it bluntly, this is a dangerous deception and total falsehood. It looks like the church, after making private deals with rabbis in Jerusalem, is trying to trick Catholics into accepting Noahide laws by telling them the Christian faith is safe and that the Trinity is an accepted form of monotheism in Noahide circles. Yes, just like the COVID vaccines were safe and effective, right? Unreal. In the world of Judaic Noahide law, the worship of Jesus is not just problematic, it's defined as the Avodah Zarah, foreign worship idolatry, a capital offense under their legal framework. The goal seems to be a slow transition, to get Catholic people used to these universal laws first, and then, once they've signed on, hit them with the truth. Yeah, because then it'll be too late. We know it's a lie because the Noahide Academy itself says the exact opposite on its website. If you look at their official rules, they specifically list Christianity as a form of idolatry that must be abandoned. It's right here. Idolatry is the deification or worship of any object, creature, person, or created power, anything other than the one true God of Israel who revelated himself on Mount Sinai to 2.4 million Jews. And so you see, they're using the Sinai covenant again, the laws of Moses, right? And they're going to use those same laws of Moses on the Hebrew roots and sacred name folks who will just jump at the chance to become a loyal little Noahide or just convert to Judaism altogether, which is also happening. I put an article up on don'tspeaknews.com about that very thing yesterday. So there you go. An act of idolatry forbidden to Jews as a capital sin is forbidden by this Noahide commandment. So on their sites, Christianity is frequently categorized alongside paganism as a violation of the first Noahide commandment. They teach that for a Gentile to be truly righteous, they must completely abandon the Trinity and the man-God concept. Rabbi Singer, who is connected with the Noahide Academy in Israel, is perhaps the most famous voice explaining why Christianity is unacceptable. He constantly points out that while some medieval rabbis used a concept called shituf, associating partners with God, to be more lenient toward Christians in business dealings, this does not mean Christianity is a valid path for a Noahide. Singer argues that the Trinity is a calculated contradiction of the oneness of God. Rabbi Tovai Singer, right there. The Trinity doctrine is the gravest form of idolatry, so the Catholic Church is lying when they tell you that the Jews accepted it. So to be considered a righteous Gentile in this system, you cannot simply be a good person who believes in Jesus. You must denounce your Christian faith. Websites like Noahide Online or Ask Noah clarify that a person who keeps the other 6 laws but still worships Jesus is still technically an idolater and does not have a share in the world to come, according to their strict interpretation. They view the Catholic Church's statues, the Eucharist, and the divinity of Christ as pure idolatry, punishable by death by decapitation. And the Catholic Church is teaching their members that they can join the Noahide covenant while keeping their Catholic faith when the very people who run that covenant consider the Catholic faith a crime worthy of death under their ideal law. By lying about this, the Church is effectively leading its people into a system that's designed to eventually dismantle their belief in Christ. It's an ultimate betrayal and slow motion theological surrender. The Church is presenting a sanitized version of these laws to parishioners, while the actual authorities on the subject explicitly define Christian worship as a crime. The reality, as shown on the Seven Colors Ministry website, is that there's an urgent warning being issued to Catholics regarding the immediate threat of Noahide punishments. I'll let you read the rest on your own. I'll put the link up like I always do, but I think I've gotten the main ideas across. Wow. It's here. It's now being taught in Catholic churches, and that's just the beginning. The Jews have infiltrated all of these churches. I should say fake Jews. This is the synagogue of Satan we're talking about. These are not real Jews. Let's make that perfectly clear right here, right now. These are not real Jews, not ethnically and not spiritually. Jesus Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one gets to the Father but through me. What part of that is unclear? Without Christ, there's no reconciliation to God. He fulfilled the laws of Moses and the law and the prophets. He fulfilled all the feasts. All the prophecies about him in the Old Testament were fulfilled. But they'll have you believe that their religion is still legitimate, and it's not. There's no temple, there's no priesthood, it's dead. And now the only way to be reconciled to God is through Jesus Christ, his Son. And I highly recommend you do that today. Don't delay another second. Ask Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior right now while there's still time, because, man, time is running short, and this is more proof of it. They're starting to teach these things in the churches themselves. Wow. It's all here, guys. Are you ready? Like I said, ask Jesus into your life today. Get in the ark before it's too late. And that will be it for now. Don't forget, don'tspeaknews.com is right here. This is home base for all that we do. In the event you're not watching the broadcast here, this is home base. So, there's over 3,000 stories here that you can peruse, research, and so on. Videos, pictures, all kinds of things. And so if you'd like to subscribe and be notified every time there's a new video or a blog post, you can click on this tab here. Or there's a box at the bottom of every article to subscribe. You just got to type in your email here, click on subscribe, and you're in. Don't Speak News at Proton Mail is how you get in touch with me. And if you'd like to support us, listener support is right here. We're listener supported only, and we thank you very much for that. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And of course, yeah, there's all kinds of unexpected vet bills and everything else dropping on us here lately. So it's been crazy, and we definitely are up against it. But anyway, the Lord will always see us through. Rumble, BitChute, and Telegram is right here. These are all the different places to find us around the internet, including YouTube, for however long we remain there. And that would be it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.